All right, this is 4A episode for the ASN ranking show for a class with a lot of volatility at the bottom and a lot of stability at the top. Um, Not a lot of changes at the top, like I mentioned. I think one through six stayed the same, and then with Southside beating Highland in our game that we live streamed last week is our game of the week. Um, that changed the order towards the bottom of the rankings, towards the bottom of the top 10. And so, not a whole lot that I think is going to surprise anybody, but there are some movements in the rankings. Uh, and so we'll talk about those in just a moment. Before we do, go ahead and subscribe to the Arkansas Sports Network. Follow us on X, Instagram, and Facebook. We are constantly putting out new content all the time, and we are really excited about what the future holds here. If you are a fan of volleyball, high school volleyball, Class 4A volleyball, we will be broadcasting that uh, next week, um, and should be a good time. Should be really interesting. But without further ado, we'll just go ahead and get to the rankings here. Don't forget to like the video if you're enjoying it. And if you're enjoying the ASN ranking show in general, just go ahead and like the video. Um, Comment if you have any comments on the video, and we will just get started here with number one, Elkins. Um, Elkins is a team that has steamrolled everybody in their way to that number one ranking. So I don't think there's a whole lot of explanation needed. I'll go ahead and say if you want to learn more about Elkins and you want to see them in action, you can watch our live stream of the ASN Classic at Arkansas Tech. Um, so that should be, uh, that should be pretty self-explanatory of why the Elks remain at number one. Same thing with the Mills Comets at number two. They look like they could be um, a pretty serious contender for a state title this year. Might be the only team that could, go up there and compete with Elkins. Number three, Southside is another team like that. Before I get to Southside, I want to touch on Mills a little bit. I know they have a freshman quarterback starting for them that's been really outstanding. Dual threat quarterback, um, and I forget his name off the top of my head, but I just want to point out that Mills has a bright future ahead with him at the helm. Um, got a lot of very, very exciting things happening at Mills. But we'll go ahead and move on to Southside and Coach Kenny Simpson. Um, he has a lot of very exciting things happening at Southside Charter. The Southerners have it rolling right now. Um, a lot of very, very exciting um, players on that team. Owen McLaughlin would be Exhibit A. He's been the lead back for them this season and has continued to put up great numbers every week. If you're more interested in the Southerners, you can go ahead and check out our live stream that we did in their game against Highland last week as our game of the week. And it should be a very, very interesting season for the Southerners. We'll go ahead and move on to number four, Warren. Warren is a team uh, that I'm very interested in. I think that once they kind of get things together, of course, with Jackson Denton getting injured earlier in the season and Cam Burks having to take over at quarterback, that caused a couple of issues for them. I think that if Elkins and Warren played now, um, that it would be uh, a totally different ball game. I think that Warren probably has a little bit more cohesion as a unit than they did in that game. But I do think that Warren's going to be a team that's going to get better and play it more together every week. So don't be surprised if they end up making a run to Little Rock. Number five, Arkadelphia. Arkadelphia has been in our top five for some time now. A lot of people were very high on them in the offseason. Um, they they have a lot of very uh, exciting players, exciting prospects, and they've really just got, uh, they just got to keep up with the momentum they have right now, and they should be fine heading into the end of the regular season and the playoffs. Number 6, Malvern. Malvern's a team that has been somewhat a surprise this season. Malvern and the Leopards, led by Coach Fogelman and Bishop Allen at quarterback. Um, that's a group that I think everybody sort of thought would take a step back after Coach Plumlee left and after Jalen Dupree went on to Colorado State. Um, but they have continued to roll. They are in our top 6, and they remain undefeated at this point. Number 7, Mina. This is another squad that remains undefeated at this point. Coach Craig Bentley over at Mina has things rolling. Michael Sullivan at quarterback, Brody Peters at running back. Um, they've just got they've got one of the best kickers in the state over there as well. Mina's got a lot of really good things going right now, and so the Bearcats are a team to watch out for down the stretch for sure. They've been one of the surprise teams of the season. Number 8, Gravett. This is a team that has slowly moved up in the rankings, just based off of their success and some other teams slipping a little bit. Gravett is a team to watch out for. They're a team that I think could be considered a surprise team as well. So just go ahead and watch out for Gravett. Towards the end of the season, the Lions will make a playoff push. Number 9, Dardanelle. I think Dardanelle might be a little bit underrated. They had a tough loss to Elkins earlier this season, and with how good Elkins has been, um, it's hard to really use that as a measuring point for the Sand Lizards and Coach Vega's crew. Of course, Creed Vega is the guy that makes it all go for the Sand Lizards, and he's got massive potential as a quarterback and as an athlete. Really, he's one of the most athletic players in the class, and he's the guy that people are going to game plan around every week. And sometimes you just can't game plan for talent like that. Um, so I'd say watch out for Dardanelle. I was very high on them in the offseason. I thought they were going to win their conference. So still a lot of football left to be played if we're being real with the playoffs coming in. But Dardanelle is a team to watch out for sure. And number 10, Highland. This is a team that lost to Southside Charter last week. A tough loss for Highland. But I do think that there's still a lot of good that will come out of this season for the Rebels. Maybe not up there in the top 5 where they really wanted to be, but I think they showed with their game against Southside Charter that they can compete on the road with top 5 teams. We're going to get into the games here. We'll start with Southside Charter versus Gosnell. I think Southside Charter gets the victory here. Southside Charter just too tough to handle for so many teams right now, and they showed us last week on camera on our live that they are 100% the real deal, and they're going to be really just a tough team to stop. They have a unique offense, and Coach Simpson is one of the best coaches in the state. So I think that Southside Charter really is going to be a team to watch out for towards the end of the season for them to make a really deep playoff push as well. Blytheville versus Trumann. This is a team. These are two teams really that have not gotten off to a super hot start this season. I think that Blytheville wins this game. I just think they've got a lot of they've got some good athletes over at Blytheville, and so I think they win this game because of that. Berryville versus Gentry. Berryville's a team that has struggled over the past few years really to get anything going. Gentry is a team that 6-1 to start this season, looking really good. Would not be surprised if they end up moving into our top 10 at some point. They should get the win this week over Berryville. Bauxite. and Genoa Central. Bauxite is a team that has had major struggles. Everybody was extremely high on them in the offseason, and now they come in uh, with a really, really tough record. But I think that they are going to get things on track this week and get a victory over Genoa Central. Crossit versus DeWitt. Crossit 0-7, DeWitt 5-2. Easy victory for DeWitt this week. Corey Graham might go for 200 yards. I'm I think DeWitt by the end of the season might move into our top 10. I say every week, pretty much. I've seen them in person. I was very impressed with what I saw, and DeWitt is a team that I think will surprise some people. I think that they had some struggles earlier in the season, and people going into that Star City game, especially, kind of were a little bit iffy on them, but they've shored up their team a little bit, and they look like they could make a deep playoff run, uh, assuming everything comes together for them as it has been the past couple weeks. Ozark versus Dardanelle. Dardanelle should win this game, running away with it. I think they are, like I said, one of the more underrated teams in the class. I think that if you're Dardanelle's defensive coordinator, it's got to be stop Kobe Wilbanks. As long as you can do that, Ozark. And this is a game, by the way, that a lot of people thought might be the conference championship game earlier this season, or in the offseason, really. But I think that Dardanelle comes in and wins this one pretty easily. Hamburg versus Star City. Um, I'm going to pick Star City to win this game. Star City started 4-0. They've lost 3 in a row. Star City, though, is a tough place to play. And the game is at Star City this week. I'm going to pick Star City to win in what some might call an upset pick because of Hamburg's superior record. But I think Star City will get the victory in this game. Clinton versus Waldron. A tale of two completely different seasons. Waldron 2-5, Clinton 6-1. I'm going to pick Clinton and the Yellow Jackets to move to 7-1 this season. They have really improved from where they were last year, at least record-wise. Cave City versus Highland. Should be an easy victory for Highland. They're going to come in motivated after their loss to Southside Charter last week. I think they're going to come back and they're going to win this game over Cave City and move to 6-1 on the season. Huntsville versus Lincoln. Lincoln was a team that I was very, very high on in the offseason. And they've had a very up and down season so far. They're 3-4. Huntsville's 1-6, but I do think that Lincoln wins over Huntsville this week and bounces back and moves to 500. Stuttgart versus Warren. Warren is a very talented team. I mean, that's really, I think the best way to put it is that they just have so much raw talent that sometimes that's hard to work with because you just have so much. You have to decide how you're going to spread it around. I do think they win the game this week over Stuttgart. I think Kane Price is one of the best quarterbacks in the class, but I just think that what Warren has offensively is going to be too much for the Rice Birds to handle. Pocahontas versus Jonesboro West Side. I am going to pick Pocahontas to win this game at Jonesboro West Side. Should be a good win for Pocahontas. Heber Springs versus Lone Oak. Lone Oak is a team that has bounced back really well. Their defense looks really good. I've been very impressed with what they've been able to do. I said it at the beginning of the year that Coach Benberg is the guy, and they're going to get better every week because he's still establishing the culture that he wants there, and he's still establishing his training methods and his offense and his defense and how he wants things to run. Obviously, they've stepped up to the plate. I believe I said on one of, if I haven't already, I'll say it now, but I believe I said on one of my other shows earlier in the season that I thought that Lone Oak would be a team that surprised some people later in the season and that they were still going to be getting their feet under them in non-conference play. That has been the case. I do think that playing Heber Springs this week, again, these are two teams with brand new head coaches, Coach Caleb Carmichael at Heber Springs and Coach Clay Benberg at Lone Oak, I think Lone Oak gets the victory this week because it's at Lone Oak. If it were at Heber Springs, might be a different story, but I think the Jackrabbits get the victory this week. Mills versus Little Rock Hall. I'm going to pick Mills to get the victory this week. Little Rock Hall is a team that has struggled a little bit this season, so I'm going to pick the Mills Comets to get the victory in this game. Prairie Grove versus undefeated Gravette. This is a really, really tough game to pick. This might decide the conference. Prairie Grove is a team running that wing T that's not very common in Class 4A, at least. Gravette is a team undefeated. They've got things rolling right now. Games at Gravette. Hard to pick against an undefeated team. So I'm going to have to go with Gravette to get the victory this week in a game that's going to be super close and come down to the wire. I think that Gravette, though, will pull off the victory. Forest City versus Riverview. Forest City is a team under Coach Reggie Swinton. I think that they've improved under his leadership. They're a team that was kind of a wild card entering this season. And in talking to Coach Swinton in the offseason, he was very confident in his program and that he could get not only the athletic standards up, but the academic standards up of his team. It seems like he's done that on both fronts. I think they get the victory over Riverview this week and move one step closer to what he might consider a successful season with the conference victory over Riverview. Elkins versus Green Forest. Elkins will win this game handedly. Don't think I need to explain myself too much on this one. Elkins will move to 8-0. Dover versus Mina. Mina will roll big time in this one. They're going to move to 8-0. Should be, Dover's a team that's just struggled. Lost the Rivals Cup earlier in the season, and I think that really threw a wrench in what they were doing. Had a close game against Clarksville. But I think Mina gets the victory this week over Dover at home. Central Arkansas Christian versus Bald Knob. I think the Mustangs pull off another victory this week. They're 2-5 on the season. I think they move to 3-5 this week with a victory over winless Bald Knob. Arkadelphia versus Ashdown. Arkadelphia is a force to be reckoned with this season, so I'm going to pick the Badgers to win over Ashdown on the road. Tough season for Ashdown so far, but I think that they will, in the coming seasons, really improve that program. Fountain Lake versus Malvern, undefeated Malvern. I think Malvern gets another victory this week and they move to 8-0. They have really proved this season that they are a program that is built on a firm foundation, even with Coach Plumlee leaving. Coach Fogelman has built on what Coach Plumlee left him, and they look like one of those solid contenders in the class right now. Pottsville versus Lamar. Pottsville will get the victory over Lamar this week. Pottsville 5-2, Lamar 3-4. I think I'm pretty confident in what Pottsville can do. They've got a lot of very talented runners on that team, and I think that they end up getting the victory this week over Lamar. Nashville versus Harmony Grove High School. I think Nashville gets the victory this week, and they move to 5-3 on the season over 1-6 Harmony Grove High School. Helena, West Helena. They are playing Monticello this week. I think Monticello gets the victory. Monticello, they're a tough force at home, so I think I'm going to go with the Billies to get the victory this week in that game. Well, that's going to do it for Class 4A. Conference action in high gear right now. Again, if you're a fan of 4A volleyball or high school volleyball, go ahead and check out our live stream that we're doing next week from Huntsville. Should be a good game. Good tournament. A lot of good games in the tournament. Go ahead and check that out. Like the video, share the video, comment, and go ahead and subscribe to our channel here. Follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook. And For now, I am Carson Ward of the ASN Ranking Show until Class 5A, signing off.